Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Beth Farnsworth.
And I'm CJ Ward. We begin at 6 o'clock with all tsunami watches, warnings, and advisories canceled.
We were combing the coast in the pre-dawn hours this morning and saw signs of that tsunami when it began to arrive. Chief Meteorologist Alan Rose has the very latest on the waves. But first, let's go to News Channel 3 senior reporter John Palmentary, who was up at 3 a.m. this morning tracking the impacts. John, the harbor escaped some serious damage.
That's right. The advisory never really got elevated beyond what we were told last night and some of the information that was passed along this morning. But there was certainly a lot of people out here early this morning and a lot of people on call all night, including the Harbor Patrol, the harbor operations, and all the people that work down here. They were watching this very closely from home and at work. Now, we were able to find out more from the south, from Long Beach, the low-lying areas of Sunset Beach and up the coast to know what was coming our way. So we had some indication of that. And even though the impacts were minimal, there were things around here that we would call unusual ocean behavior. Alerts were out before dawn, but there was little movement in the Santa Barbara Harbor in the 5 a.m. hour when the first wave of tsunami energy was set to come in. Boaters here were notified after the massive earthquake in Chile. And early morning workers saw some vessels clear out.
The message was to leave harbors and marinas. And I saw on the way in, I saw a lot of the larger boats leaving to safety in the open water.
It was not a one-moment event. The impacts had potential to show up over several hours. One animal rescue worker was watching the mood of the birds as an indicator.
Instead, they're all here. There's more. They're coming in and eating the stuff that they washed up with the kelp, so they're definitely not leaving.
When high tide came up about noon, the currents in the harbor waters had another wave of very unusual behavior. Boat owners at the Santa Barbara Harbor say as the tide came up, they could actually see large volumes of water come around by the breakwater wall and head right back out towards the sand spit. And this equipment used when the dredges here started moving and coming loose from its anchors. Harbor crews quickly got here and re-secured the rig. Longtime fisherman Mike McCorkle says he was outside the harbor and saw no impacts.
You don't see tsunamis out in the ocean. You don't feel them because it's kind of windy in the channel and there's a bump already and it was swelling, but nothing unusual out there. And back here at the Santa Barbara Harbor, some of the small boats, the paddle boaters, they're all back in and doing what they normally do in the harbor. Let's take a look over at some of the big boats, and some of these were gone this morning. Now they're back in. I believe the Ocean Pearl just backed in just a short time ago here in the very front row of the Santa Barbara Harbor, where things are returning to normal after some concerns early this morning. Reporting live from the Santa Barbara Harbor on a Tsunami Thursday, I'm John Palmentary, News Channel 3.
And Chief Meteorologist